Another rail crash, another investigation begins. Why did one train ram another today at Waterloo?
A train crash at Waterloo station in London. Around 27 others suffered minor injuries in the accident, which happened when the South West train service hit the back of an empty train at the station.
The force of the crash left the two trains embedded into each other. The train on the right had more than 100 people in it when it slammed into the stationary carriages. Inside, people, cushions and glass were sent flying. 3 people were seriously hurt with head and fracture injuries. Those injuries are not said to be life-threatening.
You heard a loud bang. I said to Martha, oh, it sounds like a train just crashed. But to be quite honest, you don't actually believe it. You just assume, you know, it's a platform. Trains don't crash at platforms.
The driver of the moving train has been breathalyzed and tested negative. There's no sign yet of why the crash happened.
It's too early to say at this stage. The matter is being investigated even as we speak. It's just over an hour ago since the accident happened, and the police and the Health and Safety Executive are carrying out a joint inquiry behind me now.
The authorities here are trying to decouple the two trains now to find out exactly what happened. Well, that, of course, means there's more problems for the commuters as they try to make their way home on this Friday evening. Duncan Kennedy, BBC News, Waterloo Station.
Around 30 people are recovering after a train crash at Waterloo Station.
The accident happened at lunchtime when a train ran into empty carriages. Most of the casualties, one of them seriously injured, were taken to nearby St Thomas's Hospital. The train and the carriages belong to South West Trains. Ronke Phillips has the details.
The nightmare that's becoming all too common for commuters. Casualties stretched across the concourse of Waterloo Station after yet another crash involving a packed commuter train. This time the crash involved South West Trains' Hampton to Waterloo service. Instead of connecting up with an empty train already stationary at platform 5, the incoming train crashed into the back, sending passengers flying.
I was standing up because we were coming close to the station, and all of a sudden we fell and I went down on my wrist.
In all, 30 people were injured, 3 of them seriously. The casualties were taken to St Thomas's and King's College hospitals.
Although we did not declare this as a major incident, it is a serious incident, and we have deployed as if it were a major incident to deal with it.
Initial tests show that signalling was not to blame for the accident. The driver, who suffered shock, has since been interviewed by police.
The driver has been breathalyzed and was found to be negative, but a joint inquiry with British Transport Police and the Health and Safety Executive is underway at this moment.
South West Trains are conducting their own investigation.
Today's accident is really regrettable, and what we must do is find out what happened and find out exactly what we can do to make sure it doesn't happen again.
The damaged train will now be taken to a depot in South London for a closer inspection. Inquiries will now centre on whether the train or driver error was to blame.
And Ronke Phillips is still at Waterloo. Ronke, clearly this could have been a heck of a lot worse, but is there any update on those that were injured?
Well, as you heard in that package there, Alistair, 30 people in all injured, 3 of them seriously. They suffered mainly fractures, cuts and bruises, although someone did have head injuries. The latest we have tonight is that only one of those casualties is serious enough to keep in hospital overnight.
That is excellent news. What about the train services for people hoping to go home this evening, people waiting for people to come back home this evening? How badly affected are they going to be?
Well, obviously there are going to be disruptions. There's delays to services heading to the south of England, Portsmouth and Southampton. And I don't know if you can see behind me, but platform 5 is shut and will remain shut until tomorrow morning. But South West Trains have said they will try and keep disruption to a minimum. Back to you, Alistair.
OK, Ronke at Waterloo, thanks very much indeed.
Way tonight into this afternoon's train crash at London's Waterloo Station. 30 people needed treatment after a passenger train ploughed into a stationary carriage. From the scene, Tim Wilcox reports.
Police and paramedics were on Waterloo's concourse within minutes of the crash. The emergency services deployed for what was feared to be a major incident. At least 3 passengers, who just moments earlier had been preparing to disembark the 109 service from Hampton Court, had to be stretchered away. And 1 man is tonight reported to be seriously injured. The South West train smashed into stationary carriages as part of what should have been a routine coupling exercise on platform 5. Though it happened at low speed, the force of the impact shunted the front train into the station buffers, caused part of it to come off the rails.
People were thrown about within the carriage. There were people with leg injuries, head injuries, and there were people shot, obviously, from hitting hard objects.
The majority of the injured were walking wounded and taken to the nearby St Thomas's Hospital.
I was standing up because we were coming close to the station, and all of a sudden we fell, and I went down on my wrists, and I got up very quickly because the lady next to me was covered in her luggage.
Coming just 5 months after the Paddington disaster, today's crash is sure to raise more questions about the safety of the railways. Railtrack investigators have tonight launched an urgent inquiry, but it's thought initial checks have already ruled out faults with signalling. Tim Wilcox, ITN, Waterloo Station.